Hello and welcome to Navigating Your Community, a podcast brought to you by Link and our friends at Lehigh Valley Public Media. I'm Caitlin Mack, and I'm joined today by Christina Tomsick and Chrissy Echeverria, two of Link's incredible staff who have worked with hundreds of newcomer households. Christina, you've met. Born and raised in the region. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And Chrissy, welcome. This is your first time on the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Probably not the last. You moved here after college.
Yep.
All right. Where from?
Moved here from the Bay Area, California.
Wonderful. Well, both of you, I know, are a wealth of local knowledge, and so we're so excited to dive into today's episode, which is all about adulting. So what is adulting?
I would say adulting is any of the life choices that you have to make post the age 18.
Okay, I love it. So if folks are listening, maybe they graduated from college, maybe moved to the Lehigh Valley or somewhere in Eastern PA for their first job, probably having to navigate rent, benefits, networking, car maintenance, grocery shopping. The list goes on and on. This episode is for you, or maybe for someone in your life who fits that description, so you can kind of get to know what they're going through a little better. So honestly, I'm really excited to dive in because I think today we're going to touch on topics that's great for anyone who's ever thought, wait, was I supposed to know how to do this? So we're going to talk about what it means to build a life here at that life stage. Sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Sounds great.
All right, awesome. Well, so Chrissy, your first time as our guest, we love to start off with a segment called Love It or Leave It.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to give you a list of items, and then you're going to tell us, do you love it or would you leave it? We're going to start off with something that is maybe familiar to people, maybe not. It's called the 401k. Love it or leave it?
I say love it if you can get one. If not, look into other alternative retirement accounts, such as an IRA.
Great. So it's an investment account, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put in the show notes what a 401k is for those listeners that aren't quite sure, but through your employer. So hopefully your employer offers it. If it does, love it. Good job. How about renter's insurance? Love it or leave it?
Love it. It's not a big burden cost-wise, and it helps so much.
How about life insurance?
Love it. When you're young, you can get really good prices and an entire package, and they are very excited to sell life insurance to young adults.
Yes, that is great advice to think about because it's much cheaper when you're younger, right? Than if you get started when you're 40.
Yeah.
All right, how about credit card? Love it or leave it?
Leave it if you know yourself financially and don't trust your impulse spending. Love it if you're good with budgets.
Awesome. How about a checkbook then? Checkbook.
I love a checkbook. However, I know some people are willing to pay the extra fees associated with credit cards or electronic bank transfers. I will say I have a checkbook. I paid for my checkbook. I use it occasionally.
Yes. All right. So I know I get mailers all the time for these meal subscriptions.
Yeah. I love a meal subscription for a gift. Especially if you just moved. Any parents out there or aunties and uncles, if you have a young adult and they just moved, a year of HelloFresh, amazing.
What a great idea. I love that. That's so good.
Otherwise, I would leave it though, so you learn how to cook.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, how about making a grocery list then?
Oh, love it. You need it. Love it. Love it.
Cable TV.
Leave it. Yeah.
Leave it. Yeah, it's interesting. All right, I'm not going to say more about that right now. In-unit laundry.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. But leave it as long as you can, I would say, because you can't ever go back. It ruins all other apartments for you.
I've been there. Yes, once you get it in your apartment, you're just stuck with it for life.
A game changer.
How about local public radio station? Love it or leave it?
Yeah, I love it for sure. I know when I first moved here, I knew nothing about winter. And so I really relied on the local news alerts.
All right. Well, thank you for getting us through that.
Yeah,
If
that was
you're
fun.
listening, you can, tell us in the comments, do you agree with Chrissy's assessment of love it or leave it? Or would you make a different choice and tell us why? So, thanks for getting us started. Now we're going to dive in. All right. So we're talking about adulting. We're talking about transition, moving from, maybe, having other people surrounding you, supporting you, to now being more on your own, more independent.
Mhm.
What's your favorite thing about living on your own?
Do you want to go?
Sure. So for me, I would say it's the feeling of self-reliance
Mm.
Mm.
that I'm trusting literally my own life with my own hands. And then, understanding that it's okay to have wins, but it's even better to have fails because you're experiencing it.
You like failure? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
no, not like failing, but it's okay if it happens.
There's like a freedom in
Right,
saying like I'm going to get to do this on my own,
right,
right?
right. If
And no matter what
you're
happens, it's like my choice now.
Yeah.
exactly, or
Yeah.
like, something as silly as, oh, I burnt dinner because I'm trying to learn how to cook.
Oh,
Things like
I
that.
love that. And you have to have so much grace when people are trying new things like that too, because we've all been there.
Right. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be perfect all the time. So
Yes.
being able to rely on yourself and get through those moments.
Yeah, you will have to throw away dinner as you
Yeah.
start to cook on your own, like
Yeah.
every once in a while.
Yeah.
Just, be
Yeah.
careful. How about you, Chrissy? What's one
Yeah.
thing that is your favorite about living on your own?
I similarly like that trial and error, but I distinctly remember after getting my first apartment being like, wow, I could just walk around. I can play
Mm.
music as loud as I want, depending on my neighbors. I don't have to sleep at any time anyone else is sleeping. I could eat anything. Like, it just felt really refreshing to kind of
Mhm.
be able to create a lifestyle on my own.
That's awesome. Okay, so as folks are entering this life stage, maybe they've just graduated, they're moving for their first professional role. What do you think surprises them most?
Uh,
Chrissy.
yeah, I would say all the things that come into adulting. So at the beginning, you listed a couple, and the list goes on and on. It really does. I still think like every single day I learn something new about how I'm supposed to navigate this adult life.
Do you have an example? What have you learned recently?
I learned how to safely dispose of batteries. That's a really good example.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh
You
my
can't just
gosh.
throw them away. You really shouldn't do that. So look into electronic recycling. Yeah, there's some really good options locally.
Yes, I have a little like basket that I keep of old batteries, and they
Yeah.
just keep getting filled and filled
Yeah.
and filled until I finally decide I'm going to go somewhere with them.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm always praying that my husband doesn't just throw them in the trash.
Yep. Yeah.
While I patiently build up my supply.
Yeah. Yeah. Very obscure example, but just a very good example of like all the random things that pop into my head
Yes.
during that transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think surprises folks most? You work with a lot of young professionals who've moved to the area. Are there things that come up for them that you're like, oh yeah, you gotta know this?
I can say that a lot of my clients have shared that they didn't realize how much stuff they were going to need.
Yeah.
That in buying their apartment, touring the apartment, it looked wonderful. They start putting furniture in it, and they're like, wow, there's so much space yet.
Yes.
So realizing, or even the smallest things like, oh, I need a curtain rod perhaps, or
I was
something
just
like
gonna
that.
say that. Curtain rods.
Or or like the little rings on a
Blinds.
shower curtain, like those little tiny things that
Yeah.
nobody thinks about needing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good, good. Well, so this is the part of like, so there's the fun parts of adulting, which I want to talk about, but there's also some aspects that can feel really intimidating, especially depending on like what kind of, what you might have been taught as a child and like your family passed on. So things like money, things like navigating like business, corporate job benefits, insurance, rent, utilities, appointments, like all those things are like really important things, but they require like a ton of responsibility, right? No one's going to book your doctor's appointment for you. So,
Right.
Mhm.
um, first on the finance side, what are some of the first financial habits that you think that you've seen, either benefit you or other recent graduates?
I recommend setting up a budget that fits your lifestyle. And the best way I like to do that is to kind of assess your spending of the last month or so, especially if you started a new job and you have a new income. Maybe it's a lot higher than it used to be and you don't really know what to do with all of that. And be practical, give yourself grace. Like if you know that you can't resist the coffee from Lit every day, a budget for that, right?
Yeah.
So I think trying to mold something into your lifestyle.
And where do you get like the budget planners? Because when I started off on my own, we had this app called Mint. It doesn't even exist anymore. But to me, it was like it put all of your bank statements in one place, and it was really friendly around creating a budget. Is that something that banks offer, or I don't know, just like where would you start with building a budget?
Yeah, I think the most basic is just a quick Google search, budget templates. However, like there's
That's true.
so many
I'm
of
sure
them.
it's like
Um,
ask
yeah,
ChatGPT
and there's
to
so
help you.
many, but I would really look at some of the local banking options. I know the credit unions usually have a budgeting option like within their app, and I know PNC also has
Oh,
something to help with
yeah.
the
I've heard great
lifestyle.
things about the PNC. They're a community partner of Links.
Hmm.
Yeah, love that. But you can even probably stop by any bank
Yeah,
and a friendly face will help.
yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any financial habits you'd recommend, Chris?
I would say beyond budgeting, also consider where you're shopping. Like, you're going to be responsible for your groceries. So, think about how to maximize what your purchases are the most regular.
Hmm.
And then also, something that I did when I first started, I opened a secondary savings account and I had money automatically drafted from my paycheck without me doing anything. It could be something as small as $20, $100, whatever you can afford. And it's doing it on the back end. So you're building a secondary savings and never touching it.
Yeah. So it's not going right into your checking account, you're
Right.
saying. So it's kind of like that is truly like your savings set aside
Yeah. Like
to
beyond like
grow.
the
Yeah, I
normal.
love
Yeah.
that. So you touched on first paycheck. Is there anything else that folks should be thinking around their first real paycheck? How should someone think about that?
I don't know if I have good advice on this one. I think
Should you spend it all?
you really
You
shouldn't.
get it, you spend
You
it.
really shouldn't. I say treat yourself to like a nice meal, something like that. Not like don't go crazy treating yourself, just something nice to recognize, you've come a long way. You're at a new
Yeah,
phase of life. And then look at it very realistically and see like this has a lot of potential, but how can I make this fit into a budget?
yeah,
Get myself started right.
yeah,
I think too, don't be shocked or don't get panicked if what you were expecting isn't the number that you receive because of taxes and
Mm.
deductions and
Oh
insurance
gosh.
and all the other things coming out of it.
Yes.
I know some of my clients have reached out to me because they're like, oh my gosh, there's so much money being taken out for taxes. Is this right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I've explained to them that typically a good rule of thumb is 20 to 30% of your gross pre-tax income is what's taken out for those kinds of things.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and it's a whole bunch of different reasons why it's being taken out. It's not like a Pennsylvania
right.
state tax necessarily thing, though there are certain states that don't have like an income tax. But in Pennsylvania, our taxes tend to be relatively modest, I think. But there still is it layers, right? Social
Yeah.
Security,
Yeah.
comp, and all that. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Um, Okay, how about when you're thinking about safety, security, emergencies? Are there certain documents that you think like, oh, I wish I had known to hold on to this or keep this in a certain place from a document perspective?
I recently learned that I lost my birth certificate, which is so rough, especially if you don't currently live in the state that you need your birth certificate from. I had to get a whole thing notarized and mail it into some random office in California and wait 6 weeks to get it. So, yeah, that's a really good one. But
Yeah.
honestly, I'd love to know what y'all think because I probably need to do better with this.
Yeah.
So we know from past episodes that I'm the planner.
Yes, yes, Chris, give it to us. I know you have a good
So
plan for this.
we have fireproof boxes in all of my family's homes that we keep our documents in.
Oh my goodness.
I know my
Um,
fingers are wagging in there, like yes, yes, yes.
uh,
Only because we had friends of ours recently experienced a house fire that leveled the house, and
Wow.
it made us really realize, like, oh gosh, like we don't have a fire safe place
right.
for it, and we should have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't have these yet, but I'm in the process of putting together binders for each of the households
Oh,
for documents, logins, important information, bank accounts, birth certificate, like anything like that that would go in those boxes.
yeah.
Even something as simple as a medication list so that if there's a medical emergency, I might not know what medications my mom or my mother-in-law are on every day. So how would I find that out otherwise? That kind
Yeah.
of thing.
That's
That's
great.
a great idea.
Yeah, I love that. How about, okay, so a lot of times when folks are either moving or starting a new job, they're looking at potentially, especially if they're leaving college, they might have been on a campus environment, they didn't need their own transportation. When folks are thinking about purchasing probably their first car, what do you recommend? Like, how do you finance it? What do you think about?
I think it's really important to look around, to shop around, and get pre-approved by a bank that you trust, hopefully, and have a good relationship with. Oftentimes, the pre-approvals at banks directly are going to have better interest rates
And
than
pre-approvals are to take a loan out to
yeah,
be able to purchase the
yeah,
car, right?
yeah. So they give you an estimate of what amount of loan that they're able to offer you, and then you take that to the dealership, and you're like, "This is my budget." And yeah, oftentimes they're just more seamless process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my recommendations for pre-approval stuff is really think about what you're comfortable getting paid, because sometimes you can get pre-approved for like a high amount.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to a dealer and you're like, well, this is really all I can pay, and you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
create a little bit of a negotiating tactic,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you don't want to get pre-approved for the complete maximum, right, that
Yeah.
you could possibly pay for a vehicle. You want to make sure that pre-approval reflects what you're willing and feel comfortable being
Yeah.
able to afford.
Yeah.
I think when you're working with your banks too, to also really help them or have them help you understand how much you're paying in the long term. So you'll get options where they'll give you set amounts for your monthly payment and then how many months you would have to pay that for. So really considering, is it worth extending the loan another, 2 years to have a lower payment, but then how much am I paying long term for something that way?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
considering all options.
Oh my gosh. So, have you gone to a car dealer to buy a car, and how stressful is that though? Like
It's very stressful.
yeah, so how do you prepare? Do you go alone? Do you bring a friend? Like, do you plan to buy same day?
Don't.
What do you recommend?
I don't think you should buy same day usually. Just because I think big financial decisions you should sit on for a sec. And they're going to want you to leave the lot with a car.
Yes.
And they will not necessarily care if they gave you the best deal, right? And so you want to be able to come to that option as best as possible. And I recommend bringing a friend. I haven't had to shop for a car in quite some time, thankfully. But it's always good to have that second opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I think about like not all car salesmen are built equally, right? Like there are better ones and worse ones in terms of like the pressure and the amount of like integrity that you might find.
Mhm.
And I really like that, at Link we have those resources that have been like trusted and vetted where we can say like talk to this person at this
Right.
dealer. So I know we can kind of guide folks on the places where we feel like they're going to really have an experience that matches, that's in their best interest,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's important if you're buying brand new to really do your homework. See
Oh, that's so true.
what the lowest possible prices versus the highest so that you can negotiate. Cars can be negotiated. That is the biggest takeaway.
Mm.
And if you're buying used and you really feel like you found the right one, you can still walk away or ask if you can put like $100 deposit down to hold it, to give yourself an extra day or two to think about it,
Yeah.
so that you're not making that huge financial purchase in the wrong mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great. So I'm going to shift because, we're talking about adulting, finances, friendships. So we've talked a lot about the practical stuff. And again, you might be leaving an environment where, you've lived in your community your whole life. You have tons of friends. Maybe you've been on a college campus. You, again, like have built in kind of community and friendships. And now you've started work and you're all on your own. And it's really different, I think, for most people trying to navigate making adult friends like during this transition. So what is your advice and how have you helped people navigate that, or how have you navigated that yourself, Chrissy?
How to make friends as an adult?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. It's
I
so
feel
hard.
like that is an age-old question, and I'd love to know if everyone else struggled with it too. I will say I had a unique experience because my first year and a half here or so, it was COVID. So I
Mm,
didn't necessarily get to go out and like put myself out there as much as I would want to. Um, but once I did, I think finding something that is consistent and offers a supportive environment for you. So I really like the Bradbury Sullivan Center. They have community groups, and so there's a monthly one that I go to, and that's probably the first thing that I started putting myself out there for. And like by the second, third time going, you see same faces. You start to establish relationships, and I've like those are the longest friendships that I've had, and probably the most meaningful at this point.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so lean into like an interest, pick something that is maybe like a low hanging fruit.
I really like you said consistency, and I think that can be something that like reflecting on myself, like I can miss because it's like I get excited to do the thing, but maybe the thing doesn't happen every week or every month, and
Right.
so you do need to build up that cadence of just seeing the same people over and over again, and it like might not click right away. Like I'm curious, like for you, maybe some of those folks in the group right away, like you weren't quite sure, but like over time you get to know each other and have some of those shared experiences that friendships are built on. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
I think for like clients of mine, you know, at Link we have meetup events and different events that we offer. Like for example, we just had trivia this week. Low pressure, social setting, always a good time, and it like creates a moment that forces you into conversation because you have to navigate questions.
Yeah.
And learn about one another at the same time. Like, who has this crazy knowledge of the most random thing. So I think definitely checking out events and stuff like that, or also volunteering. That was something that was huge for me as an early adult, just getting involved in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the volunteering one. And actually, we were talking after our last podcast episode on festivals, how volunteering can be such a great way
Yeah.
also to experience a festival in a way that you, if you're new and you don't really have someone to go with, you're like already like you're building the social connections, you're doing something for the community, and you're getting to enjoy whatever that festival has to offer at the same time.
Yeah, I will say I love volunteering at events when I can fit it into my schedule. I volunteered at a few of the American Heart Association events. And I think that those helped early on too, because you get a really good sense of like who's who in the community,
Yeah.
and you're also contributing to a good cause.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of affinity groups for young professionals in the Lehigh Valley. So I know our Economic Development Corporation likes to talk about how much growth we've seen in like the 18 to 34-year-old demographic here, where a lot of communities are losing young people. Lehigh Valley is gaining young people. And with that has come a lot of opportunities to engage either through the Chamber's Young Professionals Council. You're part of, right? Some of the
Yeah.
work that they do. You want to say something about that?
Yeah, I really like the Young Professionals Council. It's also referred to as YPC. I think it's probably the first professional organization that I engaged with. There's very low stakes mixers each month. You can come and get some appetizers, meet a couple folks, and there's not a lot of pressure, but I also really like the YPC committee because there's always someone who's willing to reach out to you after. And so it pretty much ensures there's some sort of follow up. You'll likely see them at an event later on.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to get started.
I think that like connector committee, the folks who I see, kind of emerging from the young professional sphere, and like are hitting that 40, 35, 40-year-old mark, a lot of them have built like their friendships, their community, like their connectedness here by taking on some leadership role, like
Yeah.
with one of those chamber groups or another group like that, whether that was at work or in the community. And I think that speaks volumes to just like how you can really like develop networks. And there's probably a bunch of others that we can put in the show notes if you're interested in like plugging into young professional groups.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Are there any other routines that you found help you get grounded as you're working through, just making this transition and all these decisions that go into being on your own?
Locally, I say the festivals help. I know August is here when Music Fest is here. And I also really like Mayfair is kind of the start of summer. But living in Allentown also, I feel like I've been kind of at the center of like the community events going on. And so every time seeing an event going on at Cedar Beach or like random parades that I accidentally walk into. I love the Halloween parade. It's very fun. So I think little things like that in the city help me stay grounded, kind of checking in with community.
Yeah.
I think developing routines that connect you to places, people, and yourself, like having your go-to spots. You mentioned Lit for coffee, certain restaurants, develop routines that I do my laundry on this day. I go to the grocery store. People are going to start to recognize you and say, oh, how are you doing? Things like that. And that'll kind of help to take some of that pressure away and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's something special in the Lehigh Valley. Like, if you want to be kind of like locally known, we're a small enough to kind of build those relationships and those identities. But then we're also like big enough that if you just want to kind of like flow through life,
Right.
you can kind of do that too. But I was always a big fan of like, we're going to go and this is going to be my coffee shop and I'm going to try to learn the barista's
Yeah.
name, write
Right.
it in my phone and take a notes
Yes.
to remember.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been so fun. I have learned so much about adulting. Is there anything else that is coming to mind that you don't want to leave without saying, either a piece of advice or something else that you've learned?
Okay, so I'll start I think my favorite piece of advice is leaning into intergenerational friendships and relationships, mentorships, love an intergenerational conversation. But also at the Link team, we span like all 5 generations that are in the workforce. And it's been such an amazing experience. I've learned so much just like being in the proximity of all y'all, especially as I navigate like post-college life. Link and
We
maybe
love
one other place.
We
is
love getting your
post-college.
questions and like answering them. It's so fun.
I so
It's
appreciate
fun.
it.
Well, those of us who are no longer in the adulting transition, like, I mean, it's not hard to remember what it was like, to go through things, even though a lot's changed now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as a team, like you said, it becomes like mentoring and reverse mentoring at the same time, which I think is so special.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say for me, it would be to just remind yourself to be open to getting help and feedback. Again, from people who have come through these paths before you. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have wins. You're going to have all these things happening to you. But there are people, your family, your friends, your colleagues that have gone through this before and can guide you through this so that it's not hard and difficult to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. It's like for me, finding those trusted people that you can ask, advice, whether that's like someone at your bank who will, you'll be able to go through your budget with, and they're not
Right.
going to, you don't need a financial advisor at this point, but you want someone that you can still get financial advice from. So all of that is really helpful, but it requires you to put yourself out there, and that can be
Sure.
scary.
Yeah.
So it takes courage, but I know all of us at Link are here to support you, and there's lots of folks in the community who step up and want everyone here to thrive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, that concludes our episode for today. Thanks for tuning in to Navigating Your Community. And so, if you're new in a new job, a new apartment, new community, maybe you have some new responsibilities, we hope this episode reminded you you don't have to figure out everything at once, and you also don't have to figure out everything all alone. So, start with one routine, one question, one new connection, and take that next step. If you want to learn more about Link, you can visit our website. It's www.link-lv.org. And until next time, keep asking questions, keep showing up, and keep having fun navigating your community.